The topic of gay marriage has sort of faded from the presidential election on the Republican side. We haven't heard as much anti gay stuff. Certainly haven't really heard almost anything about it during the recent Republican debates. But four Republican presidential candidates have signed a pledge to void all the marriages of thousands of same sex couples if they were to become president. The National Organization for Marriage asked all Republican candidates to pledge support for a new constitutional amendment defining marriage as between a man and a woman. I know it's crazy that I'm still using this language, which would void the thousands of existing same sex weddings across all 50 states. Incredibly, despite the obviously homophobic measures that the National Organization for Marriage was proposing, four of the presidential candidates, obviously all Republicans, signed the pledge. Rick Santorum, Senator Ted Cruz, Dr. Ben Carson, and Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal all agreed and signed on to strip people of the marriages that they already have. Bobby Jindal immediately dropping out of the race after signing the pledge. So his last show of strength, Lewis, just before declaring his campaign a miserable and embarrassing failure and disappearing back into the governor's mansion in Louisiana, was to sign an anti-gay pledge.
Yes, one final last stand of incredible bigotry.
Yeah. It is not a particular surprise from any of these four people. They all have vile records of homophobia. Dr. Ben Carson, currently polling second in the field, has claimed that equal marriage is a Marxist plot and says gay sex in prisons proves that sexual orientation is a choice. I still haven't figured that one out. Ted Cruz recently referred to Ellen Page, the actress, as a, quote, liberal fascist for asking him about LGBT rights. Rick Santorum thinks gay people can be cured and that letting them marry will cause some kind of global crisis. And then Bobby Jindal is in Louisiana actively trying to introduce laws permitting discrimination against same-sex couples. This remains for me an issue where as soon as you talk about denying gay people rights as part of your campaign, you have zero credibility. When you say two consenting, loving adults who happen to be of the same gender should not be allowed to marry each other, you instantly lose credibility on economic issues. You lose credibility on science issues. You lose credibility on any issue of any importance whatsoever. And it is amazing to me that the Republican Party has not. I'm not saying that the Republican Party should just say, hey, we love gays and it's all great and blah, blah, blah. It seems unlikely they're going to do that. But at least come together and say, hey, guys, pragmatically, we've got to drop the gay stuff because this is not going to get us anywhere. This is totally retrograde. It doesn't fit. And you still see the homophobic elements of the Republican Party.
I'm sure there are plenty of conservatives, politicians who are just saying these things because their constituents want to hear it, because
Right.
they think it's going to help them win election, re-election, whatever. And I don't necessarily think that a politician who says this loses credibility on perhaps economic issues or fiscal issues in general when they say something like this. But
Maybe not among their supporters.
Right. But I mean, to me, what happens when they say something like this is I say this person is morally bankrupt, clearly, and I don't need to hear anything else they have to say because they're morally bankrupt to me, and they're just out. They're out. Nothing else matters.